My dear friends, today we shall reflect on the 8th commandment together with the 10th commandment. These two commandments are close to each other in many ways. Thematically and also verbally, they have some similarities between them. Therefore, we will take these two commandments together. First, we shall take commandment 8. The 8th commandment forbids misrepresenting the truth or telling lies in a court of law or in legal transactions. An offense against the truth, either by word or deed, is a refusal to be honest and upright in our behavior. By bearing false witness, one can get the judge convict an innocent person for a crime that he has not committed. It goes against brotherly love and concern. Similarly, bearing false witness is more or less the same as coveting the neighbor's goods. What belongs to one's neighbor, trying to take those things, is surely a breaking of brotherly concern. Bearing false witness, as in commandment 8, and coveting the neighbor's goods, both are intended to hurt, injure the neighbor. Both these commandments reveal a lack of truth, a lack of charity, and love, or love relationship. Because of the similarity and closeness of these two commandments, we will take them together. We begin with 8th commandment, which says, "You shall not bear false witness against your neighbor." You shall not bear false witness against your neighbor. God is the source of all truth, and He is Himself the truth. In the Gospel of John, it is said about Jesus, "We have seen His glory, glory of the only Son of God, full of grace and truth." Gospel of John, chapter 1, verse 16. If God is the truth of everything, He expects His people also to be truthful in their mutual relationships. Jesus says, "I am the truth, the way, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me." Jesus also said that He came to bear witness to the truth. The absence of truth is falsehood, and Jesus wants His followers that they do not swear falsely, that they do not bear false witness. He tells His followers not to swear at all. Let what you say be yes or no. Anything more than this comes from the evil one. Matthew chapter 5, verse 37. The word witness in the 8th commandment, "You shall not bear false witness against your neighbor." The word witness in the 8th commandment originally is a juridical term, a word that was used in legal transactions or in the court of law. At the beginning of the Christian era, the term witness was used as a confession of faith in Jesus as to what he did and as to who he was. So in the beginning, the term witness was not reserved for martyrs. The Greek word for witness is martyrs, from which came the word martyr in English. So it does not mean at all witness by shedding one's blood for Christ. Originally, it meant a proclamation of Jesus and what he did later, And later the word was commonly used for martyrdom, which meant witness to Christ by shedding one's blood. The evidence of two or more people are required to sustain a charge. The evidence of one person is not enough. We have in the Synoptic Gospels, Jesus' trial by the Jewish court, namely the Sanhedrin. False witnesses came up and accused Jesus of various things, but they did not agree among themselves, and therefore their charges were not acceptable. So the high priest got up and said, "What do we need a witness for?" Then he asked Jesus, "Are you the Son of the Most High?" Jesus said, "I am. From now on, you will see the Son of Man seated in glory," etc. That is in Mark chapter 14, verse 60 onwards. Jesus was condemned by his own words, as it were. So in Jewish court of law, two witnesses must have the same accusation for condemning, for sustaining a charge against a person. Otherwise, an innocent person can be convicted by the judge. And that is why Jesus absolutely forbids false witnesses. You shall not bear false witness against your neighbor. Similarly, coveting or desiring the neighbor's goods involves jealousy, envy, hatred, selfishness, etc., lack of love, in other words. That is why these two commandments, namely not bearing false witness and not coveting the goods of the neighbor, are mainly to safeguard and protect the love of neighbor. That's an important aspect in the Decalogue. Namely, we know already that the last 6 commandments are dealing with interhuman relationship. All that can be reduced to love relationship, which will later on be taken by Jesus himself in the New Testament as the most important commandment. I will come to that later. Jesus teaches in the Sermon on the Mount that we shall not swear falsely. It was said to the manifold, "You shall not swear falsely, but shall perform to the Lord what you have sown." Matthew 5:33. Swearing falsely involves God and makes God a witness to a lie. And that is also the reason why swearing is absolutely forbidden by Jesus. Bearing false witness against a neighbor is deliberately to malign him, to destroy his good name, to accuse him of a crime, as I said, a crime that he has not committed. That is bearing false witness. Deuteronomy 19:15 says that there must be 2 witnesses at least, not just one. Similarly, the book of Numbers, chapter 3, verse 30, says the same thing. And therefore, the role of the witnesses is important for sustaining a charge or of dismissing the charge also. If they don't agree, the charge is not held. The man is set free. It's for convicting the alleged offender or acquitting him. So witnesses, the role of the witnesses is important in the Israelite law. The Decalogue forbids bearing false witnesses because it is against the love relationship that should exist between the neighbors. Now we come to the 10th commandment. You shall not covet anything that is your brother, that is your neighbor's. You shall not desire anything that belongs to your neighbor. The 10th commandment concerns the intention of the heart. It is like the 6th commandment, in which Jesus forbade even looking at a woman with lust in your heart. Looking at a woman lustfully, you have already committed adultery with her in your heart, Jesus says. So it's not merely the question of adultery as such, but even what is in your mind, in your heart, is equal to committing adultery. That is, you get it in Matthew chapter 5, verse 28. Even the desire to possess goods that belongs to a neighbor is not morally acceptable. Even the desire to possess the goods that belong to the neighbor cannot be morally acceptable. The 10th commandment forbids greed and desire to amass earthly goods without limit. It forbids avarice arising from a passion for riches and the attendant power. It also forbids the desire to commit injustice by harming the neighbor in his temporal goods. This commandment also requires that envy should be banished from your heart. You shall not desire your neighbor's house, his field, his manservant, maidservant, his ox, and his other goods. You shall not desire. The 10th commandment forbids the desire to possess more wealth than your neighbor has. Covetousness is the malicious desire to possess the goods of the neighbor, and the prohibition of such desire is distinctively Israelite morality at all times. So this commandment, you shall not covet your neighbor's goods, is again an important commandment which is practiced, which is very much made use of in the Israelite law code.